Mathematically impossible, because when she said the second batch was a duplicate, let me tell you why. When we submitted the first batch, and everyone knows this is documented, we had this conversation, we were pushed at the end because of us getting a call saying that the office was closing earlier. So everyone knew that, because even with the times with getting them their stuff, so everyone knew that. What we did was we went back and we had scanned everything that we had, because during that time period, what happened? Boxes were opened, there were lots of things that were going on, and we had those signatures under lock and key in like bank vaults. I'm not kidding. And to see them sitting across there just open for days, it really shook us. And then finding out through the process that the 5 days that we were supposed to be allotted were only really down to 3. During that process, people were trying to send in their mail. They were trying to drop off the stuff, because we didn't know if we had till Wednesday, which we thought would have been 5 business days, but we only had till that Monday. So we had to rush and get everything together. Guess when? While we're in the middle of court. You know, she didn't want to do anything in the middle of court, but guess what? The recallers, the residents, had to work through all kinds of court situations. And that's what we were able to do. And what we did was the second batch was partially a full copy of everything that we had. Why? Because we didn't trust that she wasn't going to lose something. We wanted to make sure that we had a fail-safe for us. And we put extras in every box to make sure that they were open. So yes, they were new, hundreds of them from the residents that had mailed them, dropped them off at pop-ups and all of that weekend. And it was a rush drop off because they were shutting the office down on Monday again earlier than they were supposed to. So number one, we know by what I told you, the second number should be larger than the first. Right. So when they came out with those numbers on Monday, we were so shocked and quiet, because we're like, how is this possible? It's not possible. The second drop should automatically have a larger number. They got 34,000 in the first drop, 32 in the second. Not mathematically possible. Second, you want to say there were 47,000 duplicates. We both laughed, because we know we gave you a duplicate copy. So you should have duplicates, because that's what we gave you. And we told people while we were doing this. So we have people who can support this. We handed in approximately 100,000 signatures. That's what we handed in. And we have backup to prove it.
We got backup to prove it.
So we want to have lots of conversations, and we ask you to have these conversations for us, because we know what we turned in and we have it. Because I made scans of everything. Trust me. Was it an arduous process to go back and to make sure it was together? Yes, we are only human. But you know what? We made sure we did that. And so watching this week has been really funny and confusing, and that's why we had been quiet, because we were trying to figure out what they were doing, because it's not mathematically possible. So the same questions y'all had in there with, I don't know who asked it with regard to, but you only said there were 4,700 duplicates. So how can you say this? We have the exact same questions. So we have more questions now than anything else. We are still in a legal process with some of this, so there are certain legalities. We can't get into certain specifics, but we are seeing this through. And so now you're hearing the other side. And I was not going to let this go through another news cycle and not say something. It was to try to invalidate the 7 months that all of these volunteers worked, put their time, blood, sweat, tears into, and to just be like, well, clearly that's the same thing that you do with the voter rolls, because the inactive voters, let's talk about it. You got 546 dead people on there, 32,121 people who no longer live in Orleans Parish, who are all currently actively registered voters. That means they can vote right now in an election and negate your vote. How y'all feel about that? These are the things we need to be thinking about. These are the reasons we need a clean roll. It's basics. And we thought our government was working for us. We didn't even think that we would be having these type of conversations right now. We thought our government was going to work for us. Unfortunately, it's not. And we have been contacted in conversations with Rep. Hollis. And so we will be moving forward to move legislation to negate all of the the inadequacies that we have met along this path, because they are next level. And for a resident who is like learning the laws and reading this as we go, the process isn't fair. We are going to do our best, and we aren't going anywhere. This isn't just about the mayor. This is about every elected official. We are holding you accountable. Do what you say you're going to do. and we won't have an issue. Work with the community, talk to us, bring us into conversations, and we want to be at the conversation before y'all have the conversation at the table.
That's right.
I'm not talking about that conversation. I'm talking about the conversation before the conversation. That's where we want to be. And so we need to be in these conversations across the city, the leaders in every aspect. That's what we want. And we want you to stop trying to throw these narratives out like we're crazy. We're here, we're not going anywhere, and we're taking this to any level that it needs to be taken.
That's right.
Thank you.
Anybody got any questions?
The biggest question obviously is going to be surrounding the Disney character signatures. Can you just speak to that?
The only thing I can say is during that, like I said, that last Monday when we were getting everything out the mail and everything and putting everything in, maybe that's when it popped in there. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest, residents made lots of jokes throughout this, so I could see maybe something like that in that last Monday thing when we were throwing everything in to make sure we got it in there because we thought we had till Wednesday, but we only had till Monday. But other than that, like, come on,
so to be,
like,
just
seriously.
To kind of be, so basically you guys took in all of the mail-in ballots, and that group of signatures, y'all did not go through and certify them as you had been doing the previous year.
That last group where we were trying to get it in that Monday, because we were in court. So we're trying to make sure we get this in on time while we're in court. Like, we're multitasking. And so we took everything out the mail, everything that had come in, and we put it in those last boxes and we handed it in.
So you mentioned that you all had you turned in over 100,000 signatures, but the governor mentioned that they only received about 67,000.
Correct. So we have the...
And then another went down. So tell me, where do you think things went wrong and went left?
We have the same questions you do. We have the exact same questions you do. And so that's why we took this time to make sure that we can validate everything that we're saying.
That's right.
And that we can move forward. So we can validate what we're saying. So, and that's why we did the second copy.
Jeff?
Eileen, you say you mentioned the 100,000, and you're currently under a court order to turn over all documents to the Times Picayune. So when can we expect proof of these additional signatures? We only got about 34 of them.
This is stuff that we went through as we went through the second day process. So I can have that conversation, and since we are in litigation, I would like to have that conversation with you. Can have that conversation with my attorney. Yeah. Our attorneys can have that conversation. Let's put it that way. Because, well, and I'll say this while we're here having this conversation with the Times Picayune. It has been the most arduous process to have this recall dealing with this newspaper in the city of New Orleans. Let me be clear. What we wanted to do from day one was say, voters, your signature is going to remain private because I am never going to say anything. I didn't go through here saying, oh, this is this person. I didn't. Is it right? Next. Is it right? Next. From the jump, they took a picture of a sheet and put it in the newspaper online. We had the residents call us upset, thinking they were going to lose their job or have some retaliation. We told the Times Picayune this. Since the first month, they have continued to dig in for months. So the reason why this couldn't be a private process of voter privacy and rights is because of our own newspaper.
That's right.
And you know what? They're sitting here doing it again, and I will not be bullied. I will not be bullied. We will talk in court. I will not be bullied. And neither will the residents of this city. We can have these conversations in court because, yes, you said we are in court proceedings. Guess what? They have harassed me every day. Don't have me go through my emails and my text messages. It is to the point where I had to block them. Block them. You're not supposed to be talking to me.
With regards to the 100,000 signatures, you said that you all received, and you say you have scans of them. Will you be turning those over, or?
We'll need to let the court process handle itself, and that's what I mean. Like, I can't speak to those things because we need to see where this
So
goes.
you're saying that you had at least that many?
I know what we have, yes.
Okay, and what they're saying is not.
It does not match what we have.
Everything was turned over to Sandra Wilson. If y'all want to be fair, look at the boxes. I did the video. I showed y'all that for 3-4 days the boxes was left open. I ain't hear none of the media say nothing about that. Y'all just had a press conference. Y'all didn't ask her that. You know what I'm saying? Sandra need to be fair with herself. You know what I'm saying? And the bottom line is Sandra hasn't been fair for day one because we when this started, we sent her a letter, an email asking her for the rules. She told us she didn't know. If you go to my Facebook, I got 3 videos. Her workers say they didn't even know the process. So when I listened to her up there, she was not telling facts. She was not telling the truth. You think somebody will put Scooby-Doo or Donald Duck and try to get away with that? That's the best Sandra can do. I heard media people ask her questions and they couldn't even answer y'all questions. So who's running the register office? Stevie Wonder? Maybe Ray Charles came back to vote and saw Sandra Wilson. You know what I'm saying? So that's all we saying. A fair process, and let's keep it real, because we want the best for the city. We want what New Orleans deserves.
To people that are questioning the credibility of the campaign still, what are your response to them right now?
I say pray God's gonna give you an answer, because like seriously, who would put 7 months into this for like, come on.
What do you have to say about Judge Jennifer potentially signing the petition?
I don't speak on anybody who signs. I don't speak on anyone who signs. I would have never put anybody public. I would have never spoken. I'd never pressured them. I'd never put any, like, the fact that our own newspaper did that, the fact that our own administration did that, we did not want any of that to occur explicitly. And for future recalls, we hope that it is not a problem, and maybe there's legislation that can be put in place so that residents can be protected through this process.
Hey, Eileen, just now we're hearing about the 100,000. Why are we just hearing about it now instead of before? I know it was kind of tight-lipped.
We did not trust her. And I'm gonna be we did not trust her throughout this process. Me just calling to find out, Belden had to hand in a letter for the chairperson had a 5-day, and we needed to find out what the 5 days were, because there was Mardi Gras, there was President's Day, there was Sunday, Saturday, and then all of these other things. So we were trying to, like, you know, count the dates so we can make sure we were on time. They would not even tell us what days were holidays and what days they were closed.
Do you think it would have put more pressure if you guys, when you turned it in, saying, hey, we have this amount, we're turning it in? I mean, because then you can balance.
Have you looked at our voter file? Has that made a difference?
So just for clarity's sake, when you turned in the 100,000 signatures, you're saying that 100,000 included that initial 30 anyway?
That was all. That was both batches. Yes.
Gotcha. So the second batch included the first batch plus another 69.
That's right.
68,000. Gotcha.
So we're thinking, like, if her numbers come back matching ours, we don't have anything to say. You know what I'm saying? I have some recourse because she doesn't talk to us. She talks to the mayor and she talks to the governor. We talked about that on the radio. You know, that may be another part of the recall that we want to have Representative Hollis look at. Who do they even tell what the numbers are and as the process goes, because the residents aren't told anything. So there's lots of things that we are discussing in ways to make this process more fair for anyone who tries to, you know, embark upon this journey. Because what we have found as we research different recalls throughout this state and other places, the same thing happened. It was the retaliation and the oppressiveness of their names being made public. And so if that's the one thing that's hindering this, maybe residents need to, let's change the legislation and do something about that, because we have a voice in this, and let our voice be heard. Clearly, we've gotten this far. We didn't just do this for no reason. We want to make sure that we change legislation. So in the future, if we do get any unfortunate situations, hopefully we have better leadership. We'll pray for it. But, you know, it is what it is. And so we hope residents don't have to go through this
Also,
anymore.
if it was a fair process, why she wouldn't even talk to the media? This guy at 26 went there to get a statement from her, and he couldn't. You know, if it's a fair process, don't open it up today. Why you didn't open it up from day one if it was a fair process?
So
I want to be clear about something. You're claiming that
Yes.
So just to be clear, you turned in 100,000 signatures, both batches, on the first.
approximately 100. I hate to give a dot of a number because of, yeah, and
And then
y'all
the
gonna hold me
second
to it, and then I don't want to be like, I don't want to say that, right?
That was copies with additional signatures
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
So you guys don't believe that the additional signatures were counted?
Not by what she's saying. From what y'all heard, it was very discretionary. So
Saying 90%, that you're agreeing is the duplication.
I could understand the duplications, but the rest, absolutely
Where
not.
the
Like
rest
I'm confused as to her discretion. I don't know. I'm confused as to her discretion with all of it. And so we are looking at all of our legal options to be able to move forward. And y'all know when you're in court, you got to figure that out. And so just like on Monday when y'all were getting the numbers, y'all got the information before we did. We were getting information
never
from
told
y'all.
us.
So we didn't even have all the information till like the end, like late Monday evening, to be able to have a team meeting to have a conversation. So y'all knew before we knew, to be perfectly honest.
If there's
So
no time-speaking union lawsuit, do you think think that you have a hiccup at the end like you did?
Like, I have never had a media outlet insert themselves in something like this. And usually the media does not. We see that in political campaigns and the government and stuff. They don't want to insert themselves. You never become a story. What happened in New Orleans? Our media became a story, and you all only saw what was on the outside. There was so much going on behind the scenes. It was like having the mayor and the two mayors, that's how it felt. It was like, are you serious? We're doing this for the residents. You're supposed to be for the residents. You're supposed to be, offering fair. I don't expect everything to be anything. I just expect fairness. But I do not feel like we got that from our own paper. And it was quite shocking. And I honestly wasn't going to say anything today. But until that paper did what they did today, that's why I felt the need to say it. Because that was not on anybody's radar to say any of that today.
In your research, have you ever heard of a news entity suing a recall group?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. There are lots of firsts with this situation with the Advocate and the Times-Picayune, and I ask all of our residents to look at where you get your news, look at how you get your news, and to diversify how you get your news. That's my suggestion.
Anybody else? We're going to take 2 more questions.
Last question. So who do you think signed the Mickey Mouse and Disney characters? I know you mentioned
A resident who thought it was funny. Probably a resident who thought it was funny. Clearly, like.
Do you have a timeline? Do you think that we will be able to share more saved copies of what we actually?
After we go through this process, I don't have a problem with anything, but I need to make sure this process is done properly. We have put too much time and energy to not see it through, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So thank you very much.
So we're done. Thank y'all.